Coach, let's get started and talk a little bit about your class, and then you can take questions from the press.
All right, good deal. Thank you, Parker. I want to tell you guys, really excited about this class, especially with all the changeover and everything that happened there in December, right in the middle of a hot and heavy recruiting season. Really extremely happy with the way the class turned out. We're going to have 25 guys in total that we either signed or announced. We had 5 guys at the midterm, and just to tell you a little bit about what happened. I've got the greatest staff in America, and the reason why I say that, I had 4 coaches on staff, and when all of the coaching change happened, I had 5 guys on campus, 5 midterm signees on campus, and we signed 100% of those guys. We were 5 for 5 at midterm. As a matter of fact, to go a step further, every kid that we brought on campus, that we were able to get on campus into Murray, Kentucky, we signed. We did not have one kid, one prospect that came to Murray, Kentucky and left out of here without committing. And it's a great testament to the city of Murray, Kentucky. It's a great testament to the university, and it's a great testament to my coaching staff, and really pleased with those guys and the job that they did. I want to take this time to thank also all of the professors that helped us, who came over and talked to some of these prospects about their majors and about things that they wanted to do when they got on campus. Tremendous job that they did with us, working with our schedule, working with their schedules, moving their schedules around to meet with some of these kids. I'm not going to mention them by name because I'm scared I'll forget somebody. I want to thank all of the hotels that helped us, house some of these kids. They did a tremendous job allowing us rooms to use, so on and so forth. And just people here in town, man, all of these people who at restaurants cooked us food, set things up, just all of the help. It was a tremendous atmosphere to bring prospects to get them here at Murray, Kentucky. And just want to say thank you to all of those people, and you know who you are. Obviously, I'm not going to sit up here and do it all by name because I'm scared I'd forget somebody, and I don't want to make somebody mad. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the signing class. I'm extremely excited about it again. We went out and we focused on our needs. And all in all, what we did was we signed 6 D linemen. We signed 3 linebackers. We have 2 safeties, 5 O linemen, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 3 quarterbacks, 1 athlete who's kind of a swing guy, 1 long snapper, and 1 punter. So all in all, you got 25 guys there total who are signing and were announced today. And, I'll go through them by position, tell you a little bit about these guys, and then when I get done, I'll let you guys ask me some questions. First, we'll start out with the athlete, Marquez Sanford. We call him Black, out of Westside Macon, Georgia. He was an all-state Georgia kid, had numerous offers. This is a kid that had offers to a lot of FCS programs, a lot of programs in our conference. Had 1 FBS offer. He's an explosive playmaker. He's 5'11", 170 pounds, and he can come in, and like I said, he can do a little bit of both, man. He can play offense, he can play defense. Tremendous ability in the back end of a defense, tremendous playmaking ability offensively. He can return kicks, so he can do a little bit of it all. Next guy, I'll go through the D lineman, Griffin Martin, out of Elba, Alabama. Defensive end, high motor, blue collar kid. Just kind of an old country kid from Alabama. Elba played for the state championship down there. They lost in the state championship, so getting the kid, he's 6'2", 250 pounds, comes from a great program down there in Alabama. Next kid, Silas Owens, out of Buckhorn, Alabama. Defensive end, he's 6'4", 240 pounds. He's a long, athletic, physical kid. He's another kid that's kind of a country kid. He's not a city guy, so when he came to Murray, Kentucky, boy, he loved it. He fell in love with it on day one. Really excited to have him. Next D lineman, A.J. Taylor, out of IMG Academy down in Florida. And if any of you guys know anything about IMG Academy, they roll them out of there hot and heavy. It's a private kind of a private school down there, and they've got players on every different level down there. It's quite a school, so I'm really excited to be able to go down there and get one out of IMG, out of the state of Florida. He's a 6'2", 260-pound kid, very versatile athlete, very athletic, can run, can play inside, can play outside. He's very versatile on that D-line. I'll tell you a little bit about him. It was kind of funny. This was a first for me. He came in here, and on Saturday night, we were at a restaurant, and he comes and grabs me, him and his parents, and we actually did he actually committed to me in the kitchen of the restaurant. So that was a first for me. We were back there with all the chefs and all that kind of stuff, pulled up a couple of seats, and we did it right back there in the kitchen. So I'll take it any way I can get it. Next guy, Colin Fricky. He's out of Butler Community College. He's a defensive end. He's a pass rush machine. He can really run. He's good when the run comes at him. But he's also, man, he's a third down deluxe, and a team. You know, if you're going to play a spread team, he's the one that you want there because he can really put some pressure on the quarterback. Kid's 6'3", 240 pounds. And then also at the defensive line, I'll tell you, you know, we got a couple of local guys here. Drake Van Hooser out of Caldwell County, 6 foot, 245 pound kid. He's another high motor kid. Program guy, you know, from right down the road. He loves Murray State. Parents love Murray State, and we were extremely excited to have a chance to get him. There's another guy, Colin Travis, on your list from Marshall County. You want to talk about a big kid now. This kid is beautiful. He's 6'5", 230 pounds. Watched him play basketball. He's a raw talent. Doesn't know a whole lot about what he's doing, but boy, he's got a whole lot of athletic ability, and we're really excited for him to come on. Switch gears now to some linebackers, and this is going to take a little while now because we got to go through 25 kids, so y'all just bear with me. Got Ryan Tyler out of Arizona Western. This kid is a long kid. You can see his size, 6'3", 215 pounds. Really good in space. I mean, he can tackle anybody in space. On his film, that's the first thing that jumps out at you. Really good tackler in space. Very excited to have him as part of that linebacking crew. Have another kid who's kind of a nickel guy from right down the road in McCracken County, Morgan Alexander. 6'2", 215 pounds. He's another kid. When he walks through the door, you go, wow, he's a good-looking kid. He actually played safety, so he's very athletic. He can move around. He can do a lot of things. I'll be honest with you, I would put him as a slot receiver. That's how well he runs. But played at the Border Bowl. I think had a bunch of clips on the Border Bowl. So he outstanding player, very strong, very physical athlete. And then another guy from right here, kind of a Kentucky kid, is a guy named Chase Bowling out of Lexington Catholic, linebacker, 6'2", 235-pound kid, very physical. He's another great program guy, one from the state of Kentucky that we wanted to get in here. Dad, I'll tell you, his dad was probably one of my best recruiters when I had him on campus. His dad, he was recruiting all the other kids. He was awesome, Big Jimmy. He was awesome for us, so very excited to have those guys with us as well. Then kind of I'll stay with the defensive side of the ball. We'll go down and we'll go safeties. You know, got a kid named Toby Omley out of Butler Community College, 6 foot, 200 pounds. This kid is a smart kid. He was one of our midterm guys, super smart kid. You know, kind of a fire plug guy. When you see his film now, he will run and he will strike you. He will knock your face off. He has no problem going in the box. He can run. He can stay in coverage. Very, very excited to have him around. And then another guy, a Kentucky kid, Braxton Couch, 5'11", 180, just a good utility defender. He's out of Lexington Catholic. Just a good utility kind of do-it-all type kid. Very excited to have him. Let me make sure that kind of gets us through all of the defensive guys. Offensively, kind of switch gears on you, talk about some of the offensive guys. We'll start up front with the big boys. You know, first one, Noah Banks from West Florida Tech down in Pensacola, Florida. This kid's a 6'6", 310-pound kid. You heard that right. He is huge. He is a monster of a kid, but very athletic. He can play on the edge. All we did offensively was we wanted to sign a bunch of tackles because if we feel like they're athletic enough to play tackle and they don't pan out, then we can move them down inside and they'll be just fine for us. But really excited to have him. Next guy is Brant Newman out of MUS over in Memphis, Tennessee. This kid's a bulldog. He is 6'2", 286 pounds. He's an old nasty thing now. He's an old school lineman. He's what you want. He's knee braced up, and he don't wear gloves. He doesn't wear any of that pretty stuff. He just goes out and plays ball. He's actually a lacrosse player. Now he does not run down the field. He's a goalie. So thank goodness, keeps some weight on him. But you know, great program over there at MUS in Memphis, Tennessee. Next guy, Quan Stallworth from MLK, Martin Luther King High School in Atlanta, Georgia. 6'4", 295-pound kid, long, big, athletic. Matter of fact, if you pull Quan's Twitter up, you're going to see that the last two schools that were mentioned on him was between Florida State and somebody else. He's a 3-star athlete out of Georgia. Just the way that recruiting works, we were able to snatch him up. So long, big, athletic kid. Again, he's another guy that we think can play tackle. Is probably an NFL guard type body, but he's athletic enough to play on the edge for us. Ben Looper out of Fort Scott Community College in Kansas, 6'5", 280-pound kid. He is long, he is lean. This is not a fat kid. Boy, he's a good looking, he looks better than some of our receivers now. That's the type of body he has. He doesn't have an ounce of fat on him. Very athletic. He was one of our midterm guys. He's been here. And we've got a chance to see him work out and do some things. So very excited about him. Chris White out of Daphne, Alabama, down in Daphne High School, down around Mobile. 6'3", 310 pounds. He's a big, versatile, ready-now guy. Okay, I'll tell you a quick story about Chris. When we got him here, he was a midterm kid. He graduated high school early at the midterm, so we went ahead and brought him up here. And a good friend of mine, matter of fact, the offensive coordinator over at Southern Miss called me and said, "Hey, I heard y'all had Chris White on a visit. We're going to offer him. Just wanted you to know." And I said, "Well, you're not offering him. He's on campus." And he said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, just wanted you to know next week Minnesota was planning on coming into high school and coming to visit him." So, you know, he's one that we think that can play right now. We were lucky enough to go scoop him up and get him early. Next, the wide receivers. We got Orrin Ragland out of Gaston City, Alabama, 6'1", 186 pounds. He is an explosive playmaker, speed for days. You can pull his huddle up. Man, he's making some big-time plays. Spent a little time over at Gainesville High School in Georgia and then transferred over to Gaston City in Alabama for his senior year. I had a chance to watch this kid in camp during the summer. Fell in love with him, loved him, offered him in camp. And very excited to have him. The next one is going to be a little bit weird. I cannot tell you the next one's name because leave it up to a wide receiver for this. He's having a little signing day deal, and it's going to be televised over where he's from. But we have gotten his papers. He is good to go. He is a racer. He just told me do not announce him by name. He's from the Bowling Green area, so I'm going to give him his respect so that he can have his day. He's a 6'2", 200-pound kid, strong, physical route runner. Daddy's a coach, has been a college coach, a high school coach, so kind of comes from a good pedigree right there. Next guy is a tight end, Drew Rutland, out of Fax High School over in Memphis, First Assembly Christ. Over there in Memphis. This kid is a 6'5", 215-pound, good framed, excellent ball skills. He can catch it one-handed. He can catch it behind his back, in between his legs. We're not going to ask him to do that, but just a great ball skill, tight end type player. And I tell you, he played some defensive end, so we got a chance to see him come off the ball and really strike some people and hit some people in the face. So very, very excited to have him offensively. And then our quarterbacks, we got Matthew Christian out of Opelika High School, which obviously he has a soft place in my heart because I'm from Opelika, Alabama. My grandmother lives probably 2 minutes behind the stadium where he played. But he's a 6'3", 205-pound guy, very smart, quick release. He's a winner. Great program down there in Alabama. They do a great job, do some similar things that we do offensively. So I had a chance to see him do some things that I'm going to be asking him to do, very, very soon. So very excited about him. Then have a local kid out of Mason County, Kentucky, Jake O'Mara, 6'4", 215 pounds. He's a true pocket passer. He's one that, if you go back to the days where when Casey Brockman was here and we're throwing it 73 times a game and all of that, he's going to fit that mold. He can do that. He can sit back there. He can move around the pocket. He's a big, tall kid. He can see over the line, and he can sling the rock. And then obviously we've got the transfer from Louisville, Zeke Pike, who's actually a 5-star athlete. He is a big 6'6", 250-pound kid. He's every bit of it. He is a quarterback power nightmare for defenses. He can run. He is a true dual-threat kid. He can run. He's a physical runner. He's a fast runner. He can throw it. He can sling it the length of the football field. Got him at midterm. So I've been able to see him do some things, been able to see him work out with the team, and he's coming along just fine as well. Don't want to miss these guys. We have some specialists as well. We have a punter/kicker, Rhett Morrison out of Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Again, another great program down there in Alabama, kind of northern Alabama. He's a 6'3", 190-pound kid, so he doesn't look like your typical kicker. But he's a field changer now. He's got a huge leg. He can get it up there. He can drive the ball. He can punt it and kick it for distance. He can punt it and kick it for height. He's one of those weird kids that, you got to be careful about him. When he kicks off, he's going to run down there and go make a tackle too. So you got to take care of him a little bit. He's got the mentality of a linebacker, and that's what I liked about him. And then the last kid, long snapper out of UAB. We were able to get him from UAB, Wes Drury. He's actually from Tennessee. 6'3", 230-pound guy. He's another one that's not your typical specialist. He played center in high school. Matter of fact, when I talked to him the first time, he said, "Coach, you ever seen a center pull?" And I said, "Yeah, usually it doesn't look real pretty when you do it, though." And he said, "You've never seen me do it." So he's an old arrogant cuss, and he likes to run down there. He likes to strike people. He looks like a linebacker's body. And I tell you, it's funny. I've got film on him with his buddies, and he's snapping pass routes. He's got his buddy running a 25-yard post route, and he snaps it in between his legs just like a quarterback would throw it right in stride. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. As soon as I saw him do that, I said, "Hey, man, we need to go get that cat." And anybody who knows anything about football knows if you don't have a long snapper, you better go get one of those, especially being an offensive guy, because if I don't have one of those, then I got to go for it on 4th down every single time, and that makes me sick when we get into those situations. So, anyway, that's kind of the class. And again, very excited to have these guys, take it for what it's worth. A lot of our fans, they want to know the stars and the stars and stripes and all that. We were able to get 3 2-stars, 2 3-stars, and then, of course, Zeke Pike being the 1 5-star athlete that we were able to sign. Take it for what it's worth, but kind of gets the fans fired up sometimes and gets us fired up too. So if you guys have any questions, feel free. And we'll go from there.
Who would like the first question? James?
Coach, congratulations on your first class. Just first talk about that, you kind of had to hit the ground running, it was after the December dead period, so just kind of talk about getting that together first.
Well, I tell you, I was in a unique situation because the first thing that I did, and I'm going to throw a plug out for a couple of coaches that I had on staff. I had Coach Gordon Steele, I had Coach Santos Carrillo, and then I had Coach Steve Adams. And Steve Adams is our recruiting coordinator, player personnel guy. And as soon as I got the job, I went straight to Coach Adams' office, and I said, "Hey, man, you're my guy. I got to have you. I got to keep you." And worked hard to keep him because he was the one that he puts together the visits, and he puts together a great visit. I tell the parents all the time when they come on a visit, they say, "Thank you. You did a wonderful job on the visit." And I say, "Well, I wish I could take credit for it, but it's not me. All I do is show up, shake hands, and eat with you guys." But it was very, you know, it helped me a lot because when I was doing the press conference, you know, I said at the press conference that I actually had a kid on campus during that time, and I was not lying. I went and did the press conference, and then I would run over there and I'd do a campus tour with a kid, and then I would come back and make some phone calls on some of our players that had already gone home. I would leave and I would go finish up the campus tour or eat dinner or something like that with the guys. You know, so it was a great advantage for me to have those guys on staff, and obviously, you know, that was a big sticking point with Mr. Ward. You know, with me getting the job was that there wasn't going to be a whole lot of panic and freak out. Everything was going to kind of stay status quo, and we were just going to hit the ground running, and we did that. And like I said, we were able to sign 100% of those kids. Every kid we got on campus at midterm, we were able to keep, and that was a huge deal for me because, you know, not a lot of people know now. Most everybody wanted to see us sign D linemen, and we needed D linemen. But not a lot of people realized that we had one offensive tackle at two positions. We weren't even going to be able to go through spring ball unless we got some immediate help at the offensive tackle spot, you know, on the O-line, and we were able to do that at midterm.
And that's the one thing you guys found out this season. You got to have that size. The numbers say you guys got a lot of big people. So just kind of talk about adding that size because you have to have it in the OVC and all the way through college football.
That's a great point. You know, obviously when you look at all the kids' sizes, we went out and we wanted length. You know, we wanted to be big up front. We wanted to be able to kill the run up front defensively. Offensively, we wanted to be able to move the ball. You know, last year there was a couple of times where we got into a 3rd and 1 or even a 4th and 1, and you hand the ball off, and you're expected to get that 1 yard, and you don't get it. You can't get any push. So we made a conscious effort to go get guys who can get push, and then from the whole team aspect, we wanted to get length everywhere. You know, at linebacker position, we wanted to get some length. At tight end position, we wanted to get some length. Even at the wide receiver position, we've got some small, scatty guys already on the team. We wanted to get some length. We wanted to get guys that had, you know, big-time wingspans, that were tall. But, you know, the height thing, we'll take a kid who's 6'2" as long as he's got a huge wingspan. We think that's more importantly. Because bottom line, if they're 6'4" and 6'5", very seldom do we have a chance to get them. So we'll take the 6'2" guy that can tie his shoes without bending over in a heartbeat. And that's what we went out to do, is just get some girth, get some bigger guys.
Right back here. Just a little bit about who you feel the most impactful player or player will be next year off the list you have today.
You know, it's hard to say, obviously, because you know, you always think you sign nothing but good players, and I wish that was true, that every time you were going to go 100% with all your signees, but it's not reality. It's not life. But I really think that we did a tremendous job on both sides of the line of scrimmage. That was where I was most impressed with, was the defensive linemen that we got. As a matter of fact, we actually held a scholarship. We still have one scholarship for the D-line position, waiting on, you know, possibly a transfer or something like that. You always want to take one into summer with you. You don't want to spend everything you got in your wallet. So we've got one more waiting for another D-lineman. But I really felt that our coaching staff did a good job of evaluating and going out and getting guys on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And I think that's where it's going to be the most impactful. Obviously, you know, on the offensive side of the ball, just because we didn't have, you know, we only had Joe Irby. He was our one tackle for 2 spots, so we had to go get some depth and had to go get some guys that we felt could play right away, and I think we did that.
Kind of talk about your experience since you took over as head coach, and this being your first signing class. I mean, did this live up to the expectations that you had? I know you said that you were happy that you signed 100% of the guys that you had on campus.
Sure.
I know when there's turnover sometimes that doesn't necessarily happen, but you personally, how was this experience for you as your first time as a head coach?
It was fun. I didn't get a whole lot of sleep, but that's okay. That's what they make coffee for. And it's been a whirlwind, and it has been the best experience of my life. It has been fun. We've had, you know, we kind of grab bagged in recruiting. We sent coaches here and sent coaches there, and some of them, they'd be in North Alabama, and I'd call them on a Monday and say, hey, shoot down to Mobile, Alabama, and be there by that evening, and they would do it. And you know, and then they may have to shoot from from South Alabama back up to Memphis, Tennessee, and be there in 2 days, and they would do it. And they did a tremendous job, and obviously that helped me a lot. Tell you the biggest change was just those guys being out on the road, those guys being the one that's doing all the traveling, seeing all the kids, and me having to sit in my office sometimes because I was having to take care of our kids here on campus, and I'd get a little fidgety sometimes, felt like I wasn't doing anything, felt like I wasn't earning my keep around here because all the coaches were out recruiting and I was just waiting for them to get on campus. But man, they did an awesome job, and it's been fun, man. It really has. It's it's exceeded my expectations tenfold. Especially being my first time doing this, I really didn't know what to expect, so I just took it on a day-by-day basis, and we're going to continue to take it on a day-by-day basis. But it's been a lot of fun.
With schools like Alabama, Birmingham cutting the football field gym, and a lot of people talk about the future of this field gym, can you tell me how this class will affect that?
Well, I think that a class like this does nothing but help. It's like I said earlier. Obviously, you think you sign nothing but good kids. You think that 100% of those kids are going to be able to come in and produce right away. The ones that can't, then you're hoping that you can put them and develop them. Get them in the program, develop them. I tell you, this program is strong as ever. There's a lot of things going on around here. There's a huge buzz going on around the program right now. Our kids are excited. That was probably the best recruiting tool that we had, was our kids on the team right now. When those prospects would go out and hang out with our guys on the team right now, our guys were telling them, hey man, this is a different deal. There's some things that have already changed, and there's some changes in the works. Obviously I've made a big deal about this open house tonight that I'm having. I think that we're expecting about 100 to 150 people here tonight, and it's just people who are interested. It has nothing to do with donations or anything like that. It's just people who are interested in the program and want to see what's going on with the football team, and it has been a tremendous buzz for that, and we're excited. We're excited. This program is as strong as ever. The conversations that I've had with Alan Ward and Dr. Davies about some of the things that we want to do facility-wise, some of the things we want to do monetarily are unbelievable. Obviously I wouldn't have taken the job if I didn't think that. So, it's been an awesome experience.
It's always good to get local kids. You got 3 or 4 from Kraken, Caldwell, Marshall. You've had some players like Jonathan Jackson, Mayfield, just throughout history. Just talk about keeping the local kids here.
Well, anytime, recruiting is something that starts in your backyard, and you got to go evaluate the kids that you think can play for you locally, and you got to make sure that you get a fair evaluation on those kids, that you see them enough, because obviously all of those kids, we have a special place in their hearts, because a lot of them, their parents played here, or they just grew up watching football here. And the biggest thing about getting those kids on your football team is the fact that they truly want to be here. They truly wanted to go nowhere else. They wanted to be Murray State racers, and we try to sign a class full of guys like that. But especially when you get those type kids who can go in that locker room and just talk, man, how awesome is this place? And they're just so fired up to be a Murray State racer because it's all they've ever wanted to do in their life. That helps. That is a tremendous asset to us. And then all of a sudden, when you get like a Jonathan Jackson who goes out there and balls out, then it's just icing on the cake, or a Brandon Wicks or some of these guys who we've had in the past. So obviously that's a huge deal for us. The other night, Friday night, I was over at the Mayfield Coaches Championship dinner that they do when Mayfield wins the state championship, and just loving those guys up and just telling them congratulations, and just keeping all of those type relationships strong with all of these local high schools, so that when we get the Brandon Wickses and we get some of these guys and the Casey Brotmans, that we can make sure that we keep them in-house.
Of course, quarterback is always the position in ways in college football. You have a returner coming back in Katie Humphreys, but you got a guy that played SEC, played at Louisville. Does the battle start right now with Katie and Pike at quarterback?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Katie's the type of kid, he battles with himself every day. that kid, he's unbelievable. And for the things that he did his first time out last year, not a lot of people realize it. That joker was like 4th in the country in a lot of stats, a lot of quarterback and offensive stats. And that was his redshirt sophomore year. That was the first time he's ever stepped foot on the field. So obviously, we're going into this thing. KD is our starter. And it is not his job to win. He's already won it. The way I work is it's his job to lose. But I did feel that Zeke Pike was an athlete that we had a chance to get that was too good to pass up. The thing about Zeke as well, too, and I've had this conversation with Zeke, is obviously when you look at his size, being a 6'5", 250-pound kid, there's a lot of things he can do. So I've told him, I said, listen, if you don't beat out KD, don't worry. You're not sitting on the sideline signaling. We're going to make you do something. And he knows that, and he came into this deal knowing that. So there's a couple of things that he can do. And then the Matthew Christian kid out of Opelika and the O'Mara kid, they were just younger kids that need to be brought in. And, the way I like to work it with quarterbacks is I like to bring them in and redshirt them, then let them be the backup, the true backup, if they win the job, and then they have 3 years to play. And I think that's the best thing that you can do for a quarterback, because the biggest fear that I have is sending those kids out too early, and they get shell-shocked one game, and then you lose them. For the rest of their career, they're done if you do it too early. So I've kind of, Casey really and truly had 3 years when he played here. KD's had 3 years, or will have 3 years, and hopefully the next guy will have 3 years.
Anyone else? Well, thank you for coming, everyone, and everyone watching at home. That concludes our press conference today.
Thank you, guys.